Can you guys hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, awesome. We'll just do this. Let's see. So we'll get started. And luckily, not too many announcements. I collected Josh today, and he is sending out emails as we speak to those who ask to be involved in the Inspire training. And then that training is going to be on March 25th and 26th. So that is a Friday and Saturday. And then there's about a 3 to 4 hour training prior to that he would like us to complete. And then we'll have pretty much one day, maybe like more like a half a day to discuss everything. And then the other day and a half is going to be actually flying it. So it's assumed that hopefully everyone will go home with an Inspire, but assumption is that it's probably not likely. So in order for us to be prepared, fly the real flight as much as possible. And let's see. That's kind of all I have in terms of announcements. I don't have anything crazy. I did talk to Sun and Fun today. They don't have an education day like they did last year, but I spoke with the guy who's in charge of education, and I should be getting an application soon so that I'll send it out to everyone unless you've already talked to him. And the application, it waives the students under 18, so 17 and under, waives the fee to go to Sun and Fun, and it waives the parking fee. So if you or a student is 18 or older, then it's $25. And as long as you're more than 50 miles away, that's free. But they just want people to go. So even if you're within 50, probably like 40-ish, they'll still be cool with it.
Are they giving that break just because it's Embry-Riddle?
No. You just have to call ahead of time and get this application. So I should be able to forward it on as soon as I get it. So I just talked to him today. He should be emailing it hopefully today, but I haven't actually received it yet.
Can you tell me who the person is you talked to? Because Steve Franks at Hudson High School tried to coordinate that with Sun and Fun people for his students, his high school students. And they said, we're not cutting you any breaks. Everybody pays the full price. There's no discounts for students.
No. All I did, I called the main office, so the Sun and Fun number, and then I asked to be connected to the educational director.
Okay.
I had his name, but it slipped my mind. I'll try to find it while we discuss.
Okay.
But he called me back. I can give you the phone number.
Please.
Lori, are there any, how many schools are doing this as a, get a bus and take students effort? Because from the Panhandle, you're talking, this turns into a couple of day visit. This isn't a drive over. It's kind of a big, and trying to get a bus and put students up and do all that. I just don't see it really. I mean, I'd love to have them go, but I just don't see any of them doing that.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen for anyone outside of about a 2.5 to 3 hour radius. I think the furthest is St. Johns County with Warren McCreary for St. Augustine. But I know we're going to go, we're in Volusia. I know a lot of Pasco, Hillsborough, Seminole. So pretty much the people that are within about a 2 to 3 hour radius, because then they can make it a day trip versus having to spend a night. Joe King, I see you raised your hand. Did you do that on purpose?
I did. The Director of Education is John Iskra, I-S-K-R-A. He sent me the form. I'd be happy to send it on to you, Hillary, if you want. I'll be taking 50 kids on a bus on Thursday. I do have to have 5 adults, and I have to pay $25 for them. And then we also have to pay for our own bus, so I'm charging the kids to pay for the bus. But easy process. There will be a guided tour if you'd like. So it is a wonderful opportunity for these youngsters.
What are the dates on that again? Or the date?
April 5th through the 10th. And because there's no education day, that used to be on a Thursday, but there's not one like that now. It's more streamlined is what he was saying, that it's kind of like you come in, you can get a tour. We were on the tour last time because we got there a little early. And the students just walked around. For us, it didn't really add anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually come a little later in the day, maybe like 9 o'clock, so that the students will roam around for maybe 2 hours. We'll have lunch, and then we'll be able to see the air show. Usually the air shows start towards the afternoon. So we weren't able to really see as much last year because we planned it all a little earlier in the day. We planned to like leave at about 2 or 3. This time we'll leave closer to like 4 or 5. And the that number that I called on was 863-644-2431.
644 with the second 3?
2431.
All right. Thank you.
Yep, and he got back to me within a few hours, so.
Thank you.
We have gone almost every year in the past from BASA, but we're not going this year. In the past, we've had fundraising activities, and this is one of the big things that we did, but we've had almost no fundraising activity this year, so we're not going to go. We usually would go up and spend the night and then swing by Emery Riddle on our way back home and make that part of our trip, but not going to do that this year.
Well, you guys are doing the whole drone competition. Is that taking up a lot of your time?
No, we just didn't get the support in the fundraising this year like we had in the past. The parents, the new crop of parents didn't step up and run the cafe. The cafe was a big moneymaker for us, plus the school shut all the other cafes down. So but that was a big moneymaker for us. And so in the past, we didn't charge the students anything. The cafe actually paid for the overnight trip, the hotel, the commercial bus. We didn't ride a yellow bus. We rode a commercial bus. So all of that was paid for out of the cafe proceeds. And this year is no cafe, no Sun and Fun. We are still trying to work out a way to take the seniors, and I want to take the juniors as well out to day and back to Emery Riddle, but we haven't figured out how we're going to pull that off yet. And I'm looking for corporate sponsors for my UAS for STEM team. That's why we're going to hopefully pay for that. I've got an event that we're going to Friday, the National Engineering Conference and at the PGA, and I'm hoping to make some contacts that we could possibly pull together some corporate sponsorships to get us on our trip. Right now, it looks like it could be Maryland, but I'm hoping it's closer in Georgia.
Yeah, that would be a big, a big difference.
Yep. So anyway, we're not planning on doing any Sun and Fun this year, even though we've done it just about every 7. last 7 years that I know of.
Does anyone have any questions about the UAS material?
I'm 3 weeks into trying to get every single student through the certification. It's going a lot slower than I anticipated, but bottom line is they're not working on it outside the classroom, and if I don't get to computer lab, they're not making progress. Sorry. But we're getting there.
So you're on module 3, you said?
Well, that's actually a question I have. I kind of asked Josh early on, when do you introduce this? Because as I'm looking at Canvas, it looked like it was introduced at around module 3. He said, no, I think that's too early. I'm going to introduce it around module 6. So I'm trying to find out, is there a norm? Where do people normally introduce the USI? Or do you just knock out the 9 modules of 220 and then do the USI, which seems to be a reasonable approach to me, but I didn't know how everybody else is doing it.
I know Don, we talked about this a little last week. Don completed module 1 through 3, and then he's taking pretty much however long I guess he needs, and he's just sitting in the lab for the most part because he doesn't have computers in his room, and then he's going to knock out the USI that way. And then I'm doing it where we pretty much do one day a week, whether that's on the computer. Some students finish it at home, and then I'll let them play on the Sims. I know depending on who you talk to, some people say, I don't want my students on the Sims yet. I integrate that into the course a little bit more, and I integrate the USI into the course. Last semester when I did USI first, I did the entire 9 modules, and then I did all the USI. But when some of my students didn't pass the test, you have to wait 30 days for them to retake it. So with the 30 days being that limit, and then now we have, end of year testing and all that stuff. So some people are finding it that they're going to have a hard time getting computers towards the end of the year. So I kind of like having it break up the week a little bit, and then the students can tie in some of the information. So not all of it is going to, be 100% tied.
Well, that's kind of my issue, though, is as we're going through the 220 modules, I'm trying to figure out if I stay with USI in sequence, they don't connect to the 220 module. So when I get to about module 6, when I've actually done most of the stuff, then it kind of looks like it ties in with maybe some of the human element and that kind of thing. But I'm just kind of asking because, again, I'm doing a hybrid. I do 3 lectures a week. I'm not actually in the classroom. So I'm going to be a little different than you guys. And again, when you're doing the USI, what is it that you're actually doing when you're in the classroom with the students? I mean, it looks to me like it's kind of a self-paced, the student logs in and does the material and takes the quiz. What is it that you actually teach or lecture or present when you're in the classroom?
I don't do any presentation. I work one-on-one with the students that are furthest behind the group. So I'll go sit down in the computer lab one-on-one with the students that are struggling, or if they do 2 submissions, which makes them fail, the test, you only get 2 attempts. So if they do 2 submissions and fail them both, I work directly with that student to get them through the 3rd attempt and make sure they understand it and find out what's causing them problems. But yeah, I put them in a computer room. They log on themselves. It's self-paced. My main initiative, just like Hillary said, for doing this is because I know come spring break plus about 2 weeks, I will have a hard time getting in the computer lab. So I wanted to front load it, knock it out while I could get computer lab time and get them all in there and logged on. Again, my biggest disappointment, and I thought the kids was really going to enjoy sort of this computer-based training versus death by PowerPoint, and none of them seem motivated to do it. So I usually had them flying sims, and I've got a whole batch of drones that we were learning to fly, and then we were flying every Friday, and basically I've told them we're not flying until we finish this. So they're hopefully seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but I have 2 or 3 students I'm not sure are even going to get through it. They just don't seem to get it.
Well, see, that really puts me in a quandary, because I've got 5 schools. I can't do that kind of level of individual attention, especially doing it, with this hybrid modality. So, and the in-classroom teachers are going to be no help. They have no background in aviation. So I don't know. I don't understand how I'm supposed to really do this now.
You can IM through them, and then you've got the grade book, so you can certainly track which students are excelling and which ones aren't. Granted, this is a self-pace. Give them a certain amount of time to get done. I can tell you, I feel like I'm working on it intensely, and right now I've got maybe a third of the students that are 2/3 of the way through it in almost 3 weeks. So if you're working in an intense environment, you're looking at easily 4 to 5 weeks if you're doing nothing but this to get through it. At least with my kids, and that's only working on it during school time. If you can get your kids to working on it after school time, that's certainly your best bet. But you can IM them, you can message them. I would say it's a hard way to provide instruction, but you can certainly watch to see what their progress is doing. But if you're not going to work on that every day for an hour a day, you're looking at something that's going to take you 4 or 5 weeks. I wouldn't wait too long if you want to get it done.
Hillary, how did you do it? What do you do in the classroom when your students are doing this, Hillary?
It works out kind of nice, because I'm usually not there maybe once a week, because I'm, either observing or meeting or whatever. So I've had the students get through the first 2 modules. So when I wasn't there maybe 4 days, so they've completed 2 modules in 4 class periods. And they don't seem, to be honest, they don't seem to have that much of a difficult time. There's 2 that are like borderline 70s. So that's the only thing that towards the end, they need to make that 80, otherwise they're not going to take the test. But everything else, actually, they're doing okay. Mine kind of work together sometimes, to be honest. The students pair up. So they take the quiz, and then I have them write the quiz questions down, and then they take the other person's quiz together. So a little teamwork there, but that's how they're passing it right now, and then they're writing everything down and studying it that way. So maybe if you want to partner them up and do it together, because ultimately the quizzes are on the same information, but they're not the quiz questions, and then at least they get to see an extra layer of it. So maybe that will help if you're not able to monitor at all times.
I think maybe I would benefit getting you and Josh and me, just the 3 of us, one afternoon, and try to come up with a way of doing this, because I'm the only hybrid guy besides Josh, and I need to be doing it however he's doing it. He's the course monitor or whatever. I just don't want to be doing something off in left field and have my students fail and everybody point at me and go, what the heck,
I don't think we'd ever do that, but I see what you're saying. Yeah, we'll arrange something. We'll arrange a time. I'm here in the office today.
If I didn't have a lab issue, I could do it any time of year, or if we had started this in the front half of the semester instead of the second half, I probably would have saved this for the end, and then I would have made it only for those students that were A, highly interested, and B, successful with the rest of the course. But I felt like with what I know to be my end of year computer issues, I felt like I had to push it forward.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad way of going at it. Luckily, my 2 classes have computer access, so it's a little different. with me, but you know, it's going to be different with everybody. And luckily today I had all of my kids pass. So from last semester still, I had 4 out of 12 that did not pass. And then today I had them finish and they all passed. So hallelujah.
What?
Yeah.
You passed what? Oh, you on your Zoom still? Oh, oops.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Guy, you good? You're muted.
But no, I'm fine if that was for me.
Sure it is. Yes, I'm fine. Thank you. I
Okay.
just like to listen.
Oh, well, good. Be a fly. Good job.
Buzz.
Okay. Kelly, I see you're here. I'm not sure if you're here, but you have any comments or questions or tips?
Well, I'd love to hear some feedback about some hands-on activities that people are doing besides the drones and besides the sumos, any worksheets or any more kinesthetic things that any of the other professors are doing in the unmanned aircraft class that are not with the drones or with the sumos.
Joe always has some good ideas. Joe, why don't you tell Kelly about some of your awesome extracurricular?
Well, let me see. I love, you know, the reason I do this is because I get to play with toys. And so I've got my kids building balloons and launching balloons. Got them doing rockets and launching rockets. We did the nice little easy egg drop just today off the top of the stands in the football field. I'm very involved in the local Experimental Aircraft Association chapter. And so this past weekend, I had my kids involved in volunteering to host a warbird exhibit with B-17, B-24, and P-51. Ended up having a couple of kids flying in the 17. But just talking to the World War II veterans that were there was just pretty incredible. Also, this next Saturday, we'll have Young Eagles, and I will anticipate about a dozen of my students going flying with some EAA pilots and becoming part of the Young Eagle program. So it's those kinds of things that I am always looking at a way to get kids out of the classroom and getting their hands dirty. And plus, I have a lot more fun doing that as well.
Right, and I certainly agree with you. Is there anything like in the class that goes with the unmanned aircraft curriculum that you found extra helpful?
You know, just with the USI, I just tested the 1 through 3 modules today, but I started the USI about 2 weeks ago, and I've got 1 day a week in the computer lab for them to get involved. And I'm finding the same thing. If I rely on them doing it at home, we're going to have some real problems. So I do schedule computer lab time, and I had not done the doubling up type thing, the teamwork that Hilton just talked about, but I think on Friday when we go to the lab, I'll start that and start pushing them a little bit to move through the system a little faster.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You know, other than that, I always look at YouTube videos and make sure that I'm looking for what kind of activities are available. Like if you do a search on conservation, you'll find some work that they're using drones in Africa on elephant counts, you know, agriculture issues. So if you do those specific searches on YouTube, you'll find some terrific videos to use as just little snippets to get them going. And then I also look at you know, local news and what's going on. You know, every time somebody does something silly with a drone, I'll bring it up in class, and it makes for good discussion. Plus, on a national level, the latest that says there are now more drones registered than there are certified pilots in the United States. I think those kinds of things generate some good discussion.
Right. We do have some instructors who use the current event aspect of
I'm
it
online.
and the videos.
Okay. How long have you been online?
I don't know who that is. But I was looking for some opportunities that maybe the kids could do hands-on in the classroom. And you know, in Duval, we've got an hour and a half period, and Guy knows this, and you have to break it up. And so going to a lab's not always an option, but being able to have different activities that are more hands-on in the classroom that the kids can do is any ideas like that. As you think of them, please send them.
I think last year, most of us were made, I was already, but most of us were made Civil Air Patrol education members, and they should have sent you about 6 modules of Civil Air Patrol aero education, and in each one of those modules are about 5 or 6 activities that are hands-on, building small little paper airplane versions, paper rockets. A lot of different types of exercises are contained in those modules.
Yes.
EAA, we have a lot of our students that are in our local Civil Air Patrol squadron, and if you have enough kids in your school, you could certainly start your own. And the other thing is, it's too late to get in it this year, but Hillary mentioned that we are in the UAS for STEM program. It's an AMA nationwide competition. The teams are 8 people, and the cost is about $2,000. But I have a subset of my drone club that has signed up. There has a ground school that goes with it. Then they're going to build their own quadcopter. Then they have to do a test routine, and then they go compete somewhere. So next year, you may want to be looking up and watching the AMA website, doing some fundraising or get you some corporate sponsors or school sponsorship is what we ended up with, and join the UAS for STEM program.
Yeah, and those are great things. We also have C-Perch that a lot of our instructors are a part of. But I'm really kind of looking for things that go with the curriculum. And the Civil Air Patrol you mentioned was great, and that certainly is used in the Principles of Aeronautics class. But if you have anything that you can think of that's good that goes with the curriculum for the unmanned, that's what I'm specifically looking for that would work, that I see that would help out some of our classes that are so long.
Kelly, did you get the do-it-yourself drone kit? How many people got a do-it-yourself drone kit before, I guess, the manufacturer went out of business or something?
Several of our schools did. Guy got one.
I would think that would have been, I would have thought that would have been a great hands-on thing. Unfortunately, a couple of my schools didn't get them. So
I got one, but had no idea why I got it or where it came from or anything.
Kelly, on another note, so that one of the, I think it's module 3 or 4, your schools might be past it already, but there's GUIs, so GUI, graphical user interfaces. I have my students draw one of them out, and we have to go really in depth with it. I want, colored pencils and like really make it all crazy.
Oh, that sounds good.
They do that for probably 1 or 2 periods. So like getting it really in depth, like the attitude indicator and I want the right colors kind of thing. And then each student does it by themselves. And then I have them write their name on the back, and then they vote on whose is best. And then like the top 3 will get, like the point on something.
On those kits,
right.
I talked to Josh about those because mine came with absolutely no instruction. He said just hold on to them, that something was forthcoming. So I don't know what the plan is for those kits.
Okay, well, thank you guys.
I even called the company and asked them why they sent them to us, and they said they had no idea.
And Kelly, one other thing you may want to take a look at. On April 9th, as part of Sun and Fun, they have a teacher workshop. Massive cost at $20. $20 includes breakfast and all kinds of different breakout groups where they talk about things that you can do right back into the classroom. Then they feed you lunch. Then there's generally a speaker, and it's always one of the astronauts. And so they have some pretty cool pictures of stuff of their offices. And then in the afternoon, it includes entry into the air show as well. So pretty good deal. But on the Sun and Fun website, if you go to the education page, the teacher workshop is an interesting opportunity.
Awesome. Okay. Anything else? Anyone?
See you next week.
Okay. I will see you then. Thanks for coming.